Hi, welcome to our Friday TNT. Thank you for dropping in, and just a quick apology for yesterday. This looked pretty horrific. My left eye was all sort of swollen and had allergies, and it's not much better today, but I think it doesn't look quite as bad on camera. So apologies for the horror story that was yesterday. A lot to get on with today, so let's get started. And we start at Bangkok's two international airports set for major expansion. This being confirmed by the minister. The AOT, which operates the six airports, is preparing for a full recovery of air traffic to its pre-COVID levels in 2024. The story says that the bidding is expected to be held in the middle of next year, construction expected to start in 2024, and when the East Passenger Terminal opens in 2028, it would allow Suvarnabhumi to increase its capacity to 15 million passengers a year. Well, that's a pretty big increase, and these were sort of always on the board even a few years ago until COVID came along, and then everything was shelved. So you can expect over the next couple of years, when you come into Suvarnabhumi and Don Mueang airports, to see quite a lot of changes and expansion along the way. To a big story covered in Thai PBS World, and Thailand goes into a battle against resurgent HIV/AIDS. AIDS claimed apparently 9,300 lives in Thailand last year, despite the availability of free comprehensive care for those living with HIV. Two-thirds of new HIV infections are in young people. The percentage of infections among the young generation is far higher than the global average of about 30%. Dr. Chiwanan says she believes the rising percentage of infections among young people reflects a drop in awareness of AIDS. Some people have forgotten that AIDS exists, while others may be taking things for granted and failing to protect themselves adequately. And down the bottom there, the M Foundation and doctors recently said that of the 250 new HIV infections detected in Phitsanulok, which is in central Thailand, more than 60% were in students. Well, that's a pretty horrific find, isn't it? And according to the AIDS epidemic model, about 6,500 Thai nationals are likely to have contracted HIV last year. Of the new infections, 62% will have come from unprotected male-to-male intercourse, 23% from having sex with HIV-positive partners, 11% from casual encounters, 3% from sharing syringes, 1% from encounters with sex workers. So it's not as if AIDS has gone away from Thailand. Indeed, it looks like it's still sort of on the rise again. Thailand's universal healthcare coverage won international praise. Under it, people living with HIV can get free antiretroviral drugs and 2 free blood tests a year. Currently, antiretrovirals are being supplied to 450,000 people in the country. And the president of the Thai Network for People Living with HIV says despite Thailand's good medical coverage for HIV positive, the high number of deaths from AIDS indicates a gap in the system. He says we need a solid follow-up system and that there's still a stigma attached to anti-AIDS medication. So one of those diseases that's been around for so long that I think a lot of people have become complacent. But anyway, some interesting statistics in that Thai PBS World story. Thanks to our sponsor, 5 Star Marine. And I think today is still going to be a great day to head out onto the water on the island. But I think around not only the island, but around other parts of Thailand, looks like we could have some rain this weekend. So just check your local weather forecasts. You're watching TNT. I was called out yesterday for a comment I made when speaking about the reopening of both lanes of traffic being able to travel up Patong Hill Road now. Now, in making an analogy about how they're putting even heavier vehicles and their occupants at peril, I mentioned they were letting passenger vans with up to 8 people and pickup trucks stacked with Burmese migrants. Now, this cave dweller then decided to cancel me in the comments section, saying he was unsubscribing because of my apparent lack of respect for Burmese migrants and the challenges they face. Whilst noting that he or she also enjoyed my sarcasm, they clearly didn't understand I was making a slur at Thai authorities and many of the construction employers that take advantage of Burmese people when they pile them into the back of these work trucks. I would guess that there are few writers or journalists who have written as much as I have about the attitude of many Thai people towards the Burmese, and that these present-day migrants still have to put up with a very real racism that stems back some 200 years when the Burmese were at war with Thailand and invading parts of the country. Now, he or she's obviously never read any of my articles or heard me speak about the plight of the Burmese or the ridiculous way that they're treated down along the 2,500 kilometres of leaky border. I'd also like to inform him or her of a campaign, albeit minor in comparison to many, to get 2 families out of one of the large refugee camps near the border of Mae Sot, camps that house around 86,000 people, probably many more at the moment given the strife in their country. Now that was back in 2001 and involved 2 trips into the border zones, which were far more dangerous then than they are now. Not only did this person try and smear my reputation by impugning that I was racist about the Burmese or making jokes at migrant workers' expense, he had the gall to attack me on some other matters where he'd clearly got the wrong end of the stick. He also suggested that I don't read the comments and have somehow failed to address some of his other outbursts in the past. Pardon my slight outburst, but commenters probably need to double check on exactly what's being said sometimes before they get out their heavy hammers and start stomping on their typewriter keys with such vehemence and enthusiasm about things that were never said. Yes, I'll make some mistakes, plenty of them, and happily backtrack when I do. I do read all the comments, and when YouTube doesn't block some, I'll occasionally block or delete comments that are either simply personal or nasty or attack other commenters. And just so this person is 100% clear on where I stand on the issue of Burmese migrants, I continue to be appalled at the way many Thais treat their Burmese workforce. I call out the pickups and the trucks with the Burmese workers packed in like sardines, being trucked between their awful working conditions and the crappy shanty towns their employers have graciously built for them, places you probably wouldn't let your dog stay. I'm reasonably sure that I've written more words and had them published here in Thailand about the current junta controlling Myanmar at the moment than any other writers, although I admit I'm no match in my impact to larger publications like AP, BBC, CNN, AFP or Reuters. So whatever your YouTube handle was, you're gone, and thanks for pissing me off enough to make me feel that I need to clarify my position on the treatment of Burmese migrants in Thailand. A bit later on in the program, we're going to be talking about a new points system that's going to be introduced next year. We've sort of been hearing about this for years, so it'll be interesting to see if it actually goes ahead, but plenty to talk about in the meantime. Modern day slavery in Thailand's seafood industry. This story from NHK, the Japanese broadcaster. Thailand's seafood industry is one of the country's most important money spinners, feeding millions of people both home and around the world. The companies involved are trying to keep costs down for consumers, and that of course does lead to exploitation. And the story goes on to say that many people staffing these fishing vessels are under duress. They're victims of exploitation and human trafficking. One 52-year-old gentleman who's covered in this story says that the reality is actually very, very different. Like many workers, Vishian's passport was seized by his employer. In 2016, he was working on a boat that was sold to a Malaysian owner, found himself stranded and homeless in the Malaysian city of Kuching. Some investigators say that forced labour is a deep-rooted problem in the fishing industry, not only in Thailand, but across Southeast Asia. In Thailand, exploitative employers started to fear the strict laws, but in neighbouring countries, although there's been similar laws, they might not be so enforced. And this organisation, called the LPN, successfully rescued around 5,000 workers since 2015. And they say down the bottom there that employment brokers play a critical part in the exploitation cycle. The more people they can find to staff these fishing boats, the more commission they receive. And Thailand received an IUU yellow flag warning in 2015. This is from the EU, which was basically punishing Thailand, saying they won't import their fish if they don't clean up their act. And that the changes in Thailand are improving the situation for workers, but cooperation from neighbouring countries is needed to forge a more equitable path. So this sort of alleged slavery is still continuing in the fishing industry, although the situation, we note, over the past 10 and 20 years has improved markedly, but it still goes on. To our next story, and this from Richard Barrow, of course the popular blogger who's got his Facebook page. There it is, and he reports that the Jasada Technic Museum will be running free open deck bus tours around Rattanakosin Island from the 2nd to the 4th of December. Now this Rattanakosin Island is that historic island that's got the Grand Palace and the Democracy Monument and lots of other historic areas. A very beautiful area and nicely laid out and landscaped. And he's saying that the bus tours, the free bus tours, are going to be from 4 p.m. till 9 p.m. Richard says the best time is just after sunset. And of course, if you go to his Facebook page, you'll get a link and be able to find out some more information. Looks like that could be a great way to have a look around that historic island between the 2nd and the 4th of December. That's next week. And checking some tourism events around Thailand at the moment. Quite a range here. Let's see, we've got a flower show, we've got the Chiang Mai Design Week, we've got a beach festival, we've got a marathon, Thai silk fashion, we've got a nostalgia fair, a Kosamet music. We've got the Ocean Man Festival, another marathon, and then we've got the Chiang Mai Marathon, lots of marathons. We've got a parade festival for Christmas, and in Nakhon Sawan we've got a lantern festival. That's on the TAT website if you'd like to get some more information about those events, and they update their page quite regularly with different things that are happening around Thailand. Okay, to our major story today, and this is all about a points system. Now, in the past, the problem has been introducing a points system is the links between the traffic department or the police and the registration department, and trying to get their computers talking together so that if the traffic police give somebody a fine, that they can then follow that through to when somebody tries to get their license the next year, and they can say, oh, well, you've got a few points you need to pay up first. They haven't been able to do that in the past, but it looks like they may have been able to fix that problem. Thai PBS World saying that a points system to curb traffic violations will be enforced from January the 9th. So let's go through this. Starting on January the 9th, the Royal Thai Police and the Land Transport Department will enforce a demerit point system. And the point deductions are divided into 4 levels. We'll go through those now. You're going to lose 1 point for using a cell phone while driving, not wearing a crash helmet on a motorcycle, not fastening the seatbelt, etc., etc. You lose 2 points for driving on the wrong side of the road, also known as ghost riding, driving on a suspended or revoked license and failing to stop at traffic lights. 3 points are going to be deducted if you're found to be incompetent. Well, that's a sort of a subjective judgment, isn't it? Commit a hit and run and driving without due care and attention. You lose 4 points if you're drunk driving, driving while under the influence of narcotics, and driving without regard for the safety of others. And down the bottom there, points will be automatically returned after 1 year. If only 6 points are left, the driver can attend a training course arranged by the Land Transport Department to restore points. If all the points are deducted, the driver will have their license suspended for 90 days. And to our next story now, this is from a website called Naval Technology, and it says that the USMC and Royal Thai Military begin a joint EOD training in Thailand. The training is part of the Department of Defence's HMA program that aims to assist partner nations' forces in safe disposal of landmines. And just a couple of the key points here. It aims to assist and train the partner nations' forces in the safe disposal of explosive remnants of war and landmines. As part of the latest activity, the 3rd EOD company personnel were deployed to train a total of 28 Thailand Mine Action Centre students on how to eliminate landmines and unexploded ordnances. So there are better ways than getting a stick and just walking your way through a landmine field. And we had that story a few weeks ago about those large rats which are being trained to smell out landmines, and they were able to clear around about 10 times more than just humans alone, and even with all their technology. So quite a lot of new innovation in this particular area. And just noting down the bottom there that the US HMA program is active since 2013, plays a crucial role in advancing common security interests in the Indo-Pacific. And the head of the Thai Mine Centre says, I hope that everyone will receive knowledge from Thai and US instructors and use all this knowledge to make them more proficient in their work. So good to see some great cooperation there between the US and the Thai armies. Let's go to some aviation news, and this from Thai Air Asia X. They're now flying directly Melbourne-Bangkok for the first time. In the past, if you wanted to fly with Air Asia from Thailand to Australia, you had to go through, well, basically Thailand to anywhere else, long distance. You pretty much had to fly through KL. There were some flights, I think, to Japan before COVID, but this is the first time that you'll be able to fly directly from Bangkok through to Melbourne in Australia. The Thai Air Asia X touched down in Melbourne for the first time yesterday, just after 2 p.m. They're saying that it's all due to pent-up demand, and the route's been initially launched with 3 flights per week, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, and plans to increase services in line with future forecast demand. One thing I was interested in when I last flew with Air Asia to Melbourne, it landed at the Avalon Airport, which is around about an hour and a bit south of Melbourne, down the west coast of Port Phillip Bay. And I live on the east coast of Port Phillip Bay, so it was around about a 3-hour trek to get from that Avalon Airport. So it was cheaper to land there, of course, but I think these new flights do land directly at the Melbourne International Airport. And this, an update from the PatiaNews.com. Shots fired at 2 injured victims near Walking Street turn out to be friendly fire shots after a suspect surrenders. And the alleged shooter near the Pattaya Walking Street surrendered to police swiftly after injuring 2 men yesterday morning. However, the suspect claimed the victims were actually his friends, and he felt really sorry for shooting them in what he called an accident. I've usually indicated my fondness of my friends with other means besides shooting them. The blatant shooting took place on Second Road in front of a hotel and Indian restaurant, which shocked many tourists who were strolling nearby. This happened at around about 10 to 4 in the morning, noting that the official closing time for pubs and nightlife is 2 a.m. The 25-year-old suspect turned himself in at the Pattaya police station, and he relinquished a pistol, reportedly confessed that he was the man who fired a gunshot near Walking Street, but while sobbing, he alleged to police that both men who were shot were actually his close friends, who he followed to face their rivals. There he is having a chat to police. He said, I only tried to scare my enemies by firing at the floor, but I didn't look properly because they rushed at me. And the Pattaya police would press legal action against the suspect and his rivals, who were still on the run. It was not stated whether the victims were aware that they'd sustained friendly fire shots. Yeah, I sort of suspect they probably knew if they were shot or not. But anyway, that story from the PatiaNews.com. And with that, I thank you for watching. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Thai time, we've got our live program, which we do weekly. And tomorrow, our special guest is an ophthalmologist who operated on my eyes just over 3 years ago. And he's not only going to be talking about that surgery, but other problems or potential problems and eye care issues and options for people who are over 40 years old. So that's on tomorrow morning. He says he's really nervous, which I think is probably what I said to him just before he operated on my eyes. But I'll look after him, and we look forward to having you with us tomorrow. If you get an opportunity to subscribe to the channel before you depart, that would be very gratefully received, and we look forward to seeing you soon.